El Garage TV. Hi, welcome to sunny Hollywood, Florida. My name is Bob Mattis, and I'm presenting to you my 1938 Packard, a four-door sedan. I purchased it in 1996 as I was working down in Miami, and I began my restoration process. The car was totally unrestored. I felt that I was saving the car. I've collected antiques for many, many years. I've never really been a car buff, but I thought it would be a great idea to try to save this car, which I did to a degree. I sold the car in 2001 to my neighbor, and in 2004, after 3 years, I bought the car back, believe it or not. And here we are today in 2013. I've enjoyed the car. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been a project that's been a lot of fun, and I hope to find a new owner for this car, which I think will enjoy it just as much as I have. The color is a maroon candy apple red, and it has been restored with the interior part of the car, the new tires. It has all the new wiring done to it. The interior of the engine has been redone, all new glass, all new rubber. The car runs impeccable. I've even taken it out on I-95, and the car at 65 miles an hour drove wonderfully. And it doesn't rattle, it doesn't shake. It has a beautiful ride, smooth ride to it. And the back part of the car, the back seat, it could basically fit almost 4 people back there. It's quite big back there. You can do many things with it, not just taking it out on a Sunday drive, but if you have an idea of wanting to rent the car, or for weddings or anything like that, for commercials, I think this car would be perfect for it. The car ceased production in 1956. It was a premier car of its time up until the late 30s into the 40s, up until World War I. It was a runner-up to the Cadillac. It was one of the cars that many of the dignitaries of the time used. It was one of the popular cars that not only dignitaries used, but also the average family. The car was a very well-built car. It was a four-door sedan, and it was, as you can see, a very big car. The car has many features that many other cars did not have at its time. One of the things that it has is an 8-cylinder straight 8 car, which it has extremely good power. Unfortunately, it does not have any air conditioning. Here in Florida, which is a good thing to have, it does not have anything like any AC or anything like that, but it has what they call a cowl vent here on the front of the car, and this is sort of like the air conditioner. The car is extremely safe as you're driving it. It's very well built, and I think whoever will purchase this car will enjoy it for many years to come. The car features a lot of chrome, which cars today don't have anymore. This made this car really stand out. As you see the lines and the style of the car, which really made it an aerodynamic type of a car back then for its time in 1938. That was the thing about American cars. They really built these cars to last. They didn't build these cars to be replaced within several years. This car is 75 years old, and the car, as you can see, it's once taken care of, it'll last you probably a lifetime. I'm going to point out some of the other things to you on the sleek hood appearance over here, how it forms into a nose. It's something that was very popular back then in 1938, in the 30s and into the 40s. American cars really had a style of their own. They brought out the white walls, which I think really makes the car stand out. It's something that really makes the car look very elegant. As you see the front fenders over here on both sides of the car, the fenders are rounded and they have a very sleek look to them. It's almost in an outer space ship, basically. The headlights, they're separate from the car. They stand in the front, and as you can see, the ornament, it's called a cormorant. That was one of the hood ornaments that the Packards used. This is the back part of the car. This is the trunk. As you can see, the back glass here for their braking system is a little glass, original Packard embossed reflector here. You can see the bumper that is in the back here, chromed. They don't make bumpers like this anymore today. Everything is pretty much made of plastic. You see I'll show you the inside of the trunk. As you can see, the trunk is very spacious. It has an area here for the spare tire, as well as a luggage compartment for your luggage and anything else that you may have for traveling or a day out in the country. If you can notice the two taillights, they're all made out of glass. They're not plastic. This is the little diamond tip here on both sides of the car. The split windows is another feature here that you don't see today in cars. This is the style of the aerodynamics that they had back then in the 1930s and into the 40s. It was very sleek looking and very what they called modern at the time. Today, this would be called old-fashioned, but back then, this was something that people really enjoyed. I'm going to talk a little bit about the engine. This car features a straight 8-cylinder car. It's a pretty basic feature of the car where it was very easy accessible to get into, to work on. If you had any kind of mechanic skills, you could definitely work on a car such as this. It was very easy to maintain and it was very easy to get into. Unlike many of the cars today where you have computer systems and you need a lot of technology as well as schooling in order to fix your car. Back then, people fixed their own cars many times. It wasn't so common to have a garage at every corner or a gas station every so many blocks. Back then in 1938, there wasn't very many cars out on the road. It was up to the individual to maintain their car, and if there was something serious, they would obviously get it worked on by a mechanic. The car engine has been repainted. At some time, all the electrical has been redone, and this is something that is really a plus in this particular car where the restoration process has been done. I'm going to talk a little bit about the interior of the 1938 Packard. This is a 4-door sedan. As you can see how spacious the entrance is to get into the car. It has wonderful seats. The interior is a nice beige material. The car of that time They made these where people felt comfortable driving in them. The steering wheel here is what they call a banjo steering wheel. It is called a banjo steering wheel based on the size of it. As you can see, it has the little bands, and this is something of the era that they had back then. The dashboard is very simple. It doesn't have any of the amenities of today's cars, but it did have your basic features, even a lit up clock they had. Air conditioning didn't come into till 1942, so it was several years after till the first car had air conditioning. The neat feature about this car is the little windshield wipers. The windshield wipers, they're rather small compared to the ones today, but they did the job. If you were out in a dust storm back then, it was something that would probably have been very hard to drive in based on the type of windows or the windshield wipers that you would have had. There was no windshield fluid or anything, so it made it rather difficult to sometimes drive in. It was a manual stick. There was no power windows, as you can see. It's a crank up with the handles. Some of the other features of the cars that they had in that time, they would even have actual live flowers in little vases. As you can see, these suicide doors is what they call them, which they swung out. They gave you a lot of room to get in and get out of. They were widely used back then during the time of all the gangsters, which they used these types of cars. They used them for many reasons, for protection when they were using them for different activities. That's how exquisite many of these cars were back then. They were made for not only the purpose of using for driving, but also the elegance of once you entered the car, that you felt almost at home. Driving this car could be rather a lot of fun. Once you get into the car, you almost feel like you were back in the 30s. If you put a little big band music and some of the music of the era, it almost takes you back into time. I'd like to close out by saying thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the video of the 1938 Packard. And if you'd like to reach me, my email address is rbrtram@aol.com. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call me. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions pertaining to the car and anything that I may know. Thank you, and so long.
That's all, folks.